So we got another live stream to break down in today's video, and you guys seem to really enjoy these videos where I summarize streams by Mojang, and yesterday's stream was full of new information. We learned more about the MINECON biomes, when we can expect to see these biomes, as well as new bosses, dimensions, and of course, the Nether Boats. Everybody wants the Nether Boat in the 1.16 update, and Helen Angel answers all of these questions, or at least she tries to. So hopefully you guys do enjoy today's video. If you can do me a huge favor and leave a like on today's video, let's see if we can get over 27 likes. I watched the entire stream. It's 90 minutes, so it'd just be a huge help, guys, if you can just leave a like, and don't forget to hashtag Stealth Army as well, because I will be liking and favoriting some of the best comments in today's video. Now let's go ahead and kick things off with the Nether update for the Bedrock edition, and when we can expect to see it.
So Fred Bear says, any news on the Nether update betas for Bedrock? Not yet. Remember that we have a bunch of bugs that we need to fix for Bedrock first. So we're going to be doing the Bedrock betas definitely way before release, obviously, because we have to get beta feedback. But we are really focused on bug fixes and stuff like that. Thank you, Ominous Abyss. I really appreciate it. Do you know if this is in the beta program? This is not in Bedrock betas yet. It absolutely will be. And of course, the full release, this is not fully released yet. This is just a development build. But the full release, of course, will be on both Bedrock and Java at the same time, just like we did for Update Aquatic, just like we did for Village and Pillage, just like we did for Bees. So that is what we do now. We release on both Java and Bedrock at the same time. Thank you for helping. Of course, one of the questions we get a lot are, why don't these catch fire? Why don't we have boats? Stuff like that. Well, remember that these are actually fungus. So these aren't your typical wood, right? This is not your typical wood scene. I guess not scene. Scene is not the correct word for it. But this is not typical woods that you all are used to, because it's fungus wood, which we haven't had before. So yeah, so there's going to be some differences, right? Wolf says, Helen looking at the upvotes for the Nether Boats. Yes, we have been looking at upvotes for the Nether Boats, but just because we look at them doesn't mean that they will be updated. But it has, I mean, obviously we look at everything that's suggested on the feedback site. In fact, not once, but more than once. So don't worry, if you suggest something on the feedback site, I can promise you that it will be read and that folks will look on it. Now, obviously, we can't implement everything, so, you know, just kind of keep that in mind, but we absolutely do look at everything. Natsub says, are we going to get a second chance with the chest boat? Yes, as we said in the previous MINECON live broadcast, we will still be adding all of those features for all of those biomes. It's not like the mob vote. The mob vote, we said, we're not going to implement any of these other mobs, right? But for the biome votes, we've said, yes, we are absolutely going to implement changes and all these new things to all the biomes. Eventually, it was just which one should we do first. But we are absolutely going to keep doing that. So how will the Nether Fortress work in the new Nether? So I've gotten a lot of questions about this. Don't worry, okay? Your Nether Fortresses aren't going to go away. They aren't going to change. I've gotten several messages from kind of panicked community members who have said, hey, I haven't gotten done exploring this fortress. It's even in some chunks that I haven't explored yet. I'm really worried that I'm going to lose the loot. I'm going to lose the rest of my Nether Fortress. Don't worry. We are not messing with Nether Fortresses. You will still be able to encounter wither skeletons there. You'll still be able to encounter blazes there. We're not getting rid of any mobs in the Nether. We're changing where some of them may spawn, but we're not getting rid of any. So don't worry. They're going to be just the same. Let's see. So the combat snapshots are still going, as we've had several live streams on them, and as we've mentioned to folks, we are still developing them, right? So we haven't stopped. We're still looking at them, and things are liable to change. We're not going to actually, oh, can you turn off PvP, please? That would be fantastic. Thank you. Doom Dragon XZ says, will Sweeping Edge come to Bedrock? That's once again one of those things where, like, we gotta see how all the combat stuff plays out. We gotta see how the community thinks about the combat update. We have no date for the combat update, no even time frame, because we want to make sure that this combat update is community driven, that the community is the one who's really helping us design this update, so that we won't have like the really bad debates that were happening with 1.7 and 1.8. Even 1.7, 1.8 Java players debating and fighting with each other. Not really cool. So we want a totally new combat system for the whole franchise that everybody will be happy with. So, just asking me, why were zombie pigmen made into piglins? To fit in with the rest of the update, really. So, because it didn't really make sense to have, like, what would they come from, right? So we're changing the name and changing the model just a tiny bit, so that they have floppy ears, right? Like the piglins do. Knife says, when is the update going to drop? We don't have or do release dates for updates, and the reason why is because when we have in the past, we've missed them, and then you guys have understandably gotten really angry at us. So we don't do release dates anymore. If it's a physical product, like for instance the PlayStation 4 update, right? But even then we kind of just dropped that on folks, right? So told like 3 days in advance or something like that. Then if like it has a physical disc or something like that, or if it's on a new platform, sometimes we can. But for updates, we can't, because, you know, stuff happens, right? There's bugs, there's instability, there's all sorts of stuff. And, you know, so it'll be out when it's out. So are there any new dimensions or bosses coming out soon? Well, we have to focus on the dimensions we have currently. We mentioned that at MINECON Anaheim a few years ago, that we need to fix all the stuff we have out currently. So Bobby24. So is there going to be a new boss? We already have a boss in the Nether. It's called the Wither. So not all people really know about the Wither, but the Wither is spawned by taking 3 Wither skeleton skulls, which you can get by killing wither skeletons in Nether Fortresses, and you put it on T-shape and soul sand. In fact, I can show you. Let's see, here's wither skeleton skull. And soul soil you can also use as well. In fact, I'll do some soul soil here.
You should actually make it so the wither fight is in parity with Bedrock in this update.
They did or they didn't?
That should be done.
That would be great, but the wither in Bedrock is twice as hard as the wither in Java. So let's see. Duckbread says, "Do you guys planning on adding new bosses? Like, suggest them on the feedback site, feedback.minecraft.net." Let me put it right in here. Let's see. Fruix Unknown says, "Does that mean that losing mobs from the vote will never be added?" At this point, we are saying that they will not be added. No, they will never be added. So that's okay. Are there soon going to be any dog skins on tamed wolves? Upvoted on the feedback site. Once again, feedback.minecraft.net. That is where you need to upvote whatever you'd like to see in the game. The dog post actually really needs some love. It really has, unlike the cat post, which had thousands of votes, dog post only has a couple hundred. I guess a lot of people aren't dog people or just don't want it, so I have no idea. So you know, more than 3 biomes for the Nether update. So technically in the snapshots we have 4 Nether biomes. We have the Nether Wastes, we have the Soul Sand Valleys, we have the Warped Forest, and the Crimson Forest. So that's 4 already that we already have out, just so you guys know. Are you still planning on making more biomes? Maybe, we don't know. So we have no idea. But remember, didn't promise it. Unless we say, hey guys, we promise XYZ, which we don't, because things can happen, right? So, but unless you hear somebody say, I promise something, Don't think it's a promise, okay? Just a good life tip in general, that if somebody promises something, they really need to say, I promise that. No, we will not see Mob D. We have already said that we will not be implementing any of the mobs that weren't selected in the biome votes, so nope.
So I have to say, I really do appreciate Helen for trying to answer as many questions as possible. I know some of you guys are probably not too happy with some of the answers, but you got to give credit where credit's due. At least she's trying to answer as many as possible. And let's start off with some of the things that I really enjoyed about the stream. More biomes. It looks like we could actually see more biomes in the Nether update, which originally Helen was like, we should just be happy with what we got. 3's enough, and, you know, we should just be grateful and all this other stuff. And now she's saying it looks like it could happen. Originally, Lady Agnes and Dinnerbone, the legendary developers of Mojang, were like, you know, we really want more in this update in terms of biomes, and we're keeping our fingers crossed. We really want to see this happen, but we can't make any guarantees at this point. We're going to continue to look into it, but as of right now, it's not promised or guaranteed, and I'm glad Helen's saying the same thing right now instead of just be happy with what you got. So that put a smile on my face. We could still see more biomes in the Nether update. Another thing that I really liked about this stream is how Helen was talking about the combat update, and you can tell that they really do care about the combat mechanics. They understand the importance of it, the significance it has over other communities in Minecraft, and they're taking their sweet time. It's not something they're trying to rush, and you can clearly tell that they want as much feedback as possible, especially Jeb. Like, Jeb really does love the combat mechanics, and it's just so clear that he really does value everybody's input, everybody's opinion. So it was just really good to hear more about it, and clearly there's not really an idea for when it's going to be released, which is probably another good thing. We don't want a release date until it's just solid, until it's polished, and it's something that everybody's going to be on board. Now let's go ahead and move on to the things I didn't really like as much during the stream. The Nether Fortress. Every time Helen talks about the Nether Fortress, I'm so confused. I'm so lost because the way she talks about it, it makes it seem like everybody just wants the Nether Fortress to stay the same. Like it's this sacred building that cannot be touched. Like nobody is allowed to change the Nether Fortress. And in my head, that's the most confusing thing I've ever heard, right? You got an update that's literally changing the Nether as we know it, the biomes, the mobs, like even the sounds. Yet you have this structure, this building that's literally almost 10 years old. It came out, I believe, in 1.9. It looks outdated. I think all of us can agree that the Nether Fortress doesn't have to change completely. They just can make it look slightly different or make it look more like a fortress. I would prefer a castle. That's just my opinion. I want like a Nether castle, but even just changing the blocks, maybe just how it looks in the inside would be nice. But then Helen's like, nah, don't worry guys, we're not touching the Nether Fortress. She reassures the entire stream that they have no plans to touch such a sacred monument because people have not explored it yet and they want to go into the Nether Fortress and enjoy it because they still haven't experienced the Nether Fortress, something that's nearly 10 years old, and it feels as outdated as the current Nether. In fact, you could go as far as to say the Nether Fortress symbolizes the current Nether. It just doesn't fit. It doesn't suit what they're trying to build, what they're trying to create. It almost reminds me of the 1.14 Village and Pillage update, how they decided to change the villages, change the look of the villages to suit the biomes. And think how much of a difference, how much of an impact that had on the entire update. It made you want to go explore different villages because you knew they were going to look different. You knew they're going to be lit depending on which village you were at. Why wouldn't you want something like that for the Nether update? They have the perfect opportunity. This is becoming a rant video. I could actually talk about that segment for another 20 minutes. But let's talk about one last thing, which is the bosses. Now, for similar reasons to the Nether Fortress, I don't really know why they wouldn't want to introduce a new boss into the game at this point. She briefly talks about the Wither boss, like that's some sort of new boss in the game. And I get what she's trying to do. Maybe she doesn't have the answer for us, or maybe she's just trying to, I don't know, calm down the audience or something. But in my opinion, that should be one of the first things you look into in each and every update, is how can we fit a boss into this game? How can we fit a boss into this world or this update that we're trying to create? Because a boss symbolizes a lot more than just a new challenge. It symbolizes new items, possibly other mobs, maybe even a new dimension, and one of the most important things is a new story. It creates stories, and I think that's something that Mojang really needs to start looking more into, is bosses. Mini bosses are good, but bosses in Minecraft just add so much more value to the game. But let me know what you guys think about the answers that Helen gave. I have to say that I really do love Minecraft. I love Mojang. I love Helen for having just the courage to answer some questions that she didn't really have to answer. She has a very tough and difficult job, so I will give credit to her. And thank you guys again for all the crazy support. Notification Squad, y'all are the best, and I'll catch you all in the next video. So take care, everyone. Peace.